How's it going, guys? Coach Kurto from Icons Rugby. Just here in South Africa with the Russian national sevens team doing a training camp under the super guidance of the king himself, Vasily Tsarevi. And it's hit some things lately around looking at team culture. We're here being able to watch the South African Academy, the South African side. There's also a Stellenbosch Academy of Sport here, as well as also seeing the Russian boys themselves, and then reflecting on what I've seen throughout New Zealand and Australia, and then also having some insight into the man himself in what goes on in Fiji and his experiences. And team culture is something that is now probably the hottest topic in sports. I reckon I can't talk to a coach for if you're talking about skills and stuff, go there. But if you ask a team or a coach about a team, like what do they think, they can't go 5 minutes without mentioning the word team culture. It's normally the first thing off the bat. You'll either hear they have a very good culture, you'll either hear they have a very bad culture, you'll either hear that it's coach driven or player driven, and it's quite it's super interesting to me, because I think this is, in my opinion, one of the secret sources, not to success, but to what you'd call a dynasty of success. So continued on success, because any team can work their ass off and recruit talented players in many different aspects of emotional talent, physical talent, and mental talent, and create a great dynamic team and win a championship. You can buy superstars, win championships. You can have a great team game, win championships. But how do you do it back to back to back to back to back, and create it so that the next generation of players come into with the same kind of culture and feeling and development and progress as what you have in that core group that you're able to kind of have. It's really, everyone talks nowadays about passive income in business and sustainability, and for me it is that automation of culture that you can create, where you take 5 players out, bring 5 players in, and you have a great culture where no matter who slots in can achieve, perform, and reap rewards. So what is it like? What is it around team culture? And I've been watching. I'm a big fan of a very confrontational man who loves to throw it out there, and I love him to death for it. Is a guy down in New South Wales, Craig Morgan. He pushes people's buttons, and I love that, because he's not afraid to challenge the status quo. And he's been putting up some quotes lately, and one resonated with me that I shared with my Russian boys straight away was, good teams are influenced by coaches and great teams are influenced by players, or held accountability was the exact word. So good teams are held accountability by coaches, and great teams are held accountable by themselves. And this is culture. If you have a team where they know within themselves their own standard, their own beliefs, their own, reward system, then you are 10x what the same team next to you, whether they be more talented or less talented, a better team or not, you're 10x the potential of ability. Because there becomes a point when you're coaching a team where what you say becomes diluted. Okay, so you deliver a message a first time, it has impact. A second time, it has impact. By the third and fourth time, it's diluted. And it's really interesting, because I was reading a book about about the States, and they're talking about the college basketball and how some coaches are exceptional in coaching styles and stuff like that. And one of the coaches from Duke talks about how it is not about what you say, it's about what they hear, because people can only implement what they understand. They can't implement what you're delivering if it's not understood. And I know that's a little bit complicated for some people, and please rewind it, listen to that fucking 10 times until you get it. It is not what you say, it is what they hear. It's 10 times more important. You could be the most gifted person in the world, but if no one listening to you, it don't mean shit. So how does that then roll into culture? And for me, it comes around giving power and embracement into a few players within a team to be able to go, hey, this is mine. I own this. You know, this is my team, my club, my future, but not in a selfish way of they are trying to exceed higher than the average, but in a way where it's kind of like, it's when you, the same similar to like when you buy your first car. When you buy your first car, you vacuum that car every 2 days. You wash that thing every week. But after a while, it kind of dies off. You know, you stop doing that. So, but then if you're in love with that car, you do the same thing. When you first get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you buy presents and all these kind of things because you're trying to win them over every day of the week. And then over time, you realize, well, you don't have to do that because they're with you regardless. And flip that into a rugby context. Guys get comfortable in teams and lose, I guess, the passion to take on every single moment of every single session to get better and succeed. Now, we're talking about sport where a winning culture is everything. So how do you get 2 or 3 players in your team to basically take ownership and take on 100% accountability and control, where you as a coach kind of become the person who can go, well, hey, I just need to guide and steer these 3 or 4 guys so that the other 12 to 20 can basically follow in, and we have, you know, an army kind of forefront. So you become the general, then you've got your, you know, sergeant of arms and leaders, and then you've got your foot soldiers. And you need to have that set up. Like, you can't have too many leaders because then you've got too many opinions. You know, and opinions destroy everything on the basis that people's opinions don't come from a unified front. Now, if you were to create a system in place where you unified your opinions and got everyone on the same board and they voted for them, not you as a coach or you as a captain or you as a leader implemented, the group decides, then the group is in control of their future. You know, it's kind of like politics, but you don't get to choose which side you want to back, because, you know, that's separate. You want to kind of go with, well, we like this, this, and this from A leader, and we like this, this, and this from B leader, and we put them together, and that's us. You know, you don't take the good with the bad with one person. You kind of gel together and form that. And, you know, I was lucky enough to have a conversation with a really, really influential coach in my life, Andy Friend. You know, I was dealing with him for a year back in Oz, and what I learned from him is absolutely amazing, because he gave me some insight into how to choose a captain. And he basically would sit down with the team, get them to choose what characteristics their team wants to uphold. So it's got nothing to do about playing or anything like that. He goes, choose the characteristics that your team wants to hold. So how do you want to be? And every team's different. You could choose 1,000 different things, and you kind of have to workshop this a little bit and brainstorm it. But, you know, I did this recently with the Russian boys, and it worked a treat, because we were able to punch in 5 core values that we have as characteristics that, as men or women, whatever team you're choosing, but as men in this scenario, we want to stand up by. Then we, as a group, nominated 5 or 6 people of who holds these characteristics in some shape or form. Then they come in and vote. You know, and the voting system came down to one guy stood out from all the rest who held these characteristics that we want to, as a team, don't have now, but want to become as our core system. And then there was 2 other guys who missed out by like a vote each. So we now have created our inner circle of leadership. Now, we also have a leadership team. There's experienced players to kind of help out as well. But we have our inner crust of accountability in our leadership, because these guys now have to step up and live up to that mantle of not what they think they are, but of what their peers see them as. And for me, that is the hugest, most important thing around culture, is finding a few key individuals who hold the characteristics that your team wants to uphold and become and create, and then you can build off that, because you've counted Instant accountability, among one or two who then hold 5 and 6 people accountable. So, guys, I've got 1,000 other things to talk about on this topic, and team culture is huge for me. But that's just one of the big things that I've kind of hit the nail on the head with around what I've identified in the last probably 6 months around it. So, guys, that's just a little insight on team culture. I'd love to have some of you coaches fire back with some of your ways of getting around culture and how do you build it and what's important, because there's a lot going on here. So, guys, Coach Curto from Icons, and I'm out. Peace.